Good afternoon, good evening. Sorry for the delay, but hopefully the interesting insights we have from all of these wonderful panelists will make up for some of that, right? When I was in publishing, I remember an author had once told me that today there are more writers than readers. I think maybe somewhere that's true of, the influencer space today. There are so many influencers today, everyone can become a creator, right? So it's a really, really interesting dynamic space. Brands are jumping on, they have various expectations from the space, right? Not just awareness, it's now also become conversations about conversion, about ROI, how are creators actually driving sales. And we're lucky enough to have brands on the panel who've used influencers extensively and a real life influencer as well. So hopefully we'll get insights on both sides of the story. Yeah. So Nidhi, maybe I'll start with you. Yeah. So Uniqlo is a global giant. Yeah. But your storytelling in India, we've seen, is extremely localized, hyper-local, personal, right? It feels very Indian. So how do you strike that balance using influencers? And have you had any surprises, good ones, from the influencer ecosystem here?
So Niti, we're a global brand, but we believe that we're local at heart. And our concept, which is the concept of life wear, which means that our clothes are meant to make people's life better. And from that context, when we are looking at influencers, we are looking at how they can also help us carve that narrative and talk about how using Uniqlo makes their life better. Using clothes makes their life better. And surprisingly, a lot of influencers we work with are already brand fans. They already have tried Uniqlo, they already love the brand. So that makes it easy for us to do that authentic storytelling, which is what we are looking for. So just give you an example, our current campaign is the Bra Top campaign that we are having. Most of the influencers we want to collaborate with have already used the product, and they swear by the fact that it's, you can be braless and wear a top which has a bra inside. And that story in itself is so strong that we don't have to work very hard, I'll be very honest. So I think as a brand, we have that privilege of offering great quality clothes. And that ties into the story and to the narrative that we want to use our content creators for.
Oh, great, thanks. That's really, really helpful. I'll come to you, Lakhan. So you, I think, have the coolest job among all of us, and we were just discussing his followers. Those of you who haven't seen it, it's like phenomenal. I think more than 2 million on Instagram and some 55 million on YouTube, right? Yeah. So he's also a cricket player. So let's get his perspective. So from your POV, you're a creator, right? From the other side of the table, which brands do you think have done a very good job in using influencers or creators? Some examples of good collaborations or something जो आपने देखा and you thought कि this is kind of top of the line.
Recently, I worked with Samsung, and the way they were very open to do anything that the creator thinks that will work on their audiences. Also, what I see currently, Instamart, Swiggy, they are picking the viral moments and they are doing moment marketing. It's also a very good way to cater that kind of audience. So largely, I think some of the tech brands have done very well in this space, and they have used the potential of creators and the bond that creators have with their audience to showcase their products, and they have really done well.
Great. So authenticity in the way the brand uses creators, you feel that's really critical, right?
Yes. Also, I remember getting a brief from a brand, and the brief was very simple. I was asked whether I use any products from that brand or not. If I have used, then they will go ahead and do a collab with me. If I haven't used, then it will be very hard for me to, tell a real story about me and that brand.
Yeah, that's a great.
I just want to add that. So actually, that's what we do at Uniqlo. When we are scouting for content creators and influencers, our first filter is, have they used the brand? Do they know about the product? And only then we further engage with them.
Yeah, that makes so much sense, I think, right? So I'm going to come to Pratik now. He runs an influencer marketing agency, and like I said earlier, it's an oversaturate, or it's heading towards oversaturation in terms of a market. There are so many choices, right? So Pratik, there are creators and there are creators. Every brand wants the same top, maybe 200, 100 creators, right? So how do you help clients maybe look beyond the obvious, which is, how many followers do they have, and it ends at that, and help them pick influencers who not just are right for the brand or authentic, like Lakhan and Nidhi said, but also help drive some kind of business result, maybe sales or whatever the brand is looking for?
Niti, influencer marketing is now not in its nascent stage in India. I think it's matured a lot. In fact, as Nidhi mentioned over here, I think the brands themselves started to realize what they want. So there's no need for filtering. And a lot of intelligent brands, until unless something is extreme, something is trending at a very different level, will not engage with creators, top 200, top 250 creators for no reason. So, brands are intelligent enough now to realize that instead of giving 50 lakhs to a creator, I would rather get 10 creators or 20 creators who are using my brand. Like she gave the example of the new top they are promoting. So I think that phase where people were chasing a specific influencer has now matured. I think it's almost at the fag end of its life cycle. There will be brands who will chase certain influencers. There will be brand managers who would put their personal preference over their brand preference. मुझे हंसी आई तो इसको ले लेते हैं. It keeps happening with us all the time. I really like this creator. I think we should engage with this creator. So as an agency, as someone who's been doing this for 7-8 years now, it's our responsibility to tell them and warn them that this is not fitting with the brand. However, there is something called brand ethos. Every brand stands for something. I'm just wildly saying a tech brand, like for example, Noise, would stand for innovation. I'm just giving an example. So they would look for creators who stand for innovation. A fashion brand might stand for something not necessarily only trendy, but something which is more comfortable, which is something more appealing to the new generation, and they would choose influencers on those bases. I would actually like to answer the previous question you asked, Lakhan. Which are the brands who you think have used influencers really well? Now, I think there are 3 or 4 brands in India which have been using influencers in a way that you can say that they build themselves with influencers. Nykaa is an example. Sugar Cosmetics is an example. If you see their case study in the past 10 years or their trajectory from the time they have launched, those brands have very well chosen influencers over a period of time, created content which stood with their brand ethos. And today, even till today, they continue to choose influencers in the way they want. They will never chase a fashion influencer who's suddenly gone to Cannes and was not a fashion influencer till like 6 months back. They will never choose someone like that. And they don't do it. Like for example, we had this discussion some time back that there was something called Ganji Chudail which was picked up by Nykaa. Now it was an anomaly by Nykaa, I thought. Maybe they have a reason for picking that up. So there are, as you said, brands are maturing. It's coming to a fag end. Like everybody is now mature enough to choose their, influencer. A round of applause for Samir.
So that's very insightful. I think Nykaa and Sugar are great examples, right? So Shantanu, I'm going to come to you now, right? So you operate in a D2C category, which is hyper competitive, right? Now, when it comes to choosing influencers, I'm going to flip it from what works to maybe what doesn't work. So what red flags have you seen? So what would you, I mean, I've written what makes you swipe left, but what, what would you tell
Tinder.
brands not to do?
Got it.
Yeah.
So, so I won't say red flag again because I respect all the creators. It's very hard to come on a camera and show it to the world. I certainly feel from a noise point of view I can talk about, like how do we shortlist in something. The first thing which we do is a simple manual research. You go on a page, take 5 minutes, and read out the comments. Okay, that kind of tells a lot of insights about that creator, what kind of audience is actually following them, how's the positive and negative sentiments around it, and that kind of shortlist you, okay, this is a go or no go for us. And the shortest trick, go on Reddit and just talk about that creator. You will got to know everything from tip to toe. And the best in today's time is the GPT. So, I mean, and then the second layer comes, how's the engagement rate? Now, I don't see followers these days. I managed to see, okay, what's the likes to comments or shares ka ratio? How it is moving? Is it the likes are in the 50K, but the comments are 5? So it genuinely tells you exactly, you all run digital ads, you know what happens. So I think their shortlisting happens like this. The third parameter comes, are the aesthetics and the look and feel of the feed or the person always kind of delivering the content goes with you or not. For example, like Uniqlo have a set patterns which always follow, and similarly, like we also wanted to make sure, okay, I wanted to make sure that it always look aspirational enough, and it should be in the right settings, it should be right aesthetically placed. Then only I will look like a more global brand rather than just a brand doing a small work, and so that's how we shortlist. I will not make it too complex, but yeah, these are the 2-3 parameters which we try to do with.
I think that's wonderful. I think for those of you, in the audience, this is a great playbook that Shantanu spoken of in terms of how you can actually choose the right influencers, right? I'm going to move to a very different category now that Samir is with us. Categories like finance and not finance largely, but maybe things like insurance, etc., don't necessarily naturally lend themselves to things like reels and all, right, which is seen more in the entertainment space. So how do you then avoid, let's say, the trap of sounding very preachy or very technical when you are using influencers? How does Policybazaar do that?
Right, so you're absolutely right. A very, very short format reel might not exactly work because it is not the most interesting subject, right? People don't generally like to talk about insurance after having a drink. It's not one of those subjects. B, I think our communication largely for categories like term insurance, health insurance is about why you need the category in your life. And to be able to communicate that concept, you need a certain bit of duration, which is why we have seen YouTube works very well for us. A, because it gives you that kind of duration. B, there is also that link right under the video in the description, which you can click and immediately land on a page. So that sort of increases the number of responses or leads that you get also. In terms of reels, there are certain formats that we have seen which work for us. There are certain storytelling kind of formats on reels as well, which are sometimes either broken into parts or sometimes it's a short kind of a story, which is not 15-20 seconds, but it's maybe over a minute or so. So those also work for us. Because that kind of duration gives you the kind of time to explain something in detail. So yeah, we've found what works for us after multiple trials. And YouTube certainly works for us. Instagram, if done right in a certain way, does work for us.
Okay, that's great. I mean, for a category like insurance, which is otherwise very dry, there's a kind of fabulous tips to look at. I'm going to now, considering the topic of the panel, move to a little bit more deep dive on ROI, conversions. Is it just about awareness, right? So I'm going to start with the creator on this question. Is it even a right question to ask, Lakhan, ki how much ROI or conversion does a creator drive? Should brands be asking that, or should we kind of limit the role of influencers and creators to awareness or engagement?
Actually, it depends, brand to brand. Also, like there are some kind of situation, like there's an event happening in Delhi. So I just need to make people aware about it. Then I know what type of content to make. But if I suppose like a brand is focused on conversions, then the first thing that matters the most is storytelling. They're like, do we have something to sell? But I think like it would not be fair for a creator just to be judged on the basis of the conversion that he is getting. But it will not be fair to brand also. Like the brand is paying money, brand is spending from their budget. They also want something in return. Like for the awareness, they can put billboards. But they are coming to you. They know like you have the capacity to drive something. Then if you fail to deliver it like again and again, then it's definitely a matter of worry for brands also. So I think it's a mixed situation for creators as well as for brands.
So it is okay for some brand if they want to ask for conversions, right? I mean, that does happen.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think they are paying money. Yeah, they're spending something.
Money
and-
talks.
Yes.
Okay. So Pratik, I'm going to from that segue and pin you down. So what's the right ROI metric when you're doing influencer marketing?
Okay. I think the first question you asked, it's absolutely fair to ask the creator about conversion, because your bosses ask the brand managers, and then the shareholders ask the bosses, भाई इतना पैसा दिया है क्या हुआ है? You ask performance marketing guys, right? You ask Google ads, you ask Meta ads. The digital ecosystem is such that today there are very few avenues to spend on. You will spend on performance ads, then you spend on social media, you spend on content, and then you need to create more content because the content which you have created has not organically traveled. So you engage with user-generated content, which is influencers. So I think influencers become a part of that ecosystem where they have to drive ROI. I think it's fair. However, how it's asked and in what parameters it's asked completely should be dependent on a discussion between the brand and the influencer. So a tech influencer probably can drive sales. A cosmetic influencer probably can drive sales. However, if you're expecting a humor-based influencer to sell Skoda immediately, Toyota immediately, as a brand, you're being naive about it. Like, you need to understand exactly. So if you're looking at B2C brands, I think it is fair. It's reached a stage where there should be a part of the campaign which should be, a form, not only a complete compensation, a compensation which comes in the form of sales. And a lot of influencers have done it. And they do it very well. If your engagement is high, if your audience is, loyal to what you say. Like today I was talking to, just out of the topic, I was talking to someone from ShareChat over here, and they say people actually send gifts to creators on live videos, and those gifts can be bought only with money on their platform. That means people are liking that content, that's why they are sending it. Similarly, the influencer is asking for people to trust his judgment about the product and purchase it. Product खराब है, तो comment में आके गाली देने ही वाला है. So it's completely on those bases.
So I like that thing about customizing what you expect from the influencer, right? So it needs to be a deeper thing than just a top level. So Samir, in your category, right, it's so typically performance driven, how many clicks, it gets I'm sure you track it like on maybe daily, hourly, whatever. So when it comes to your internal stakeholders, your CEO or CFO asking you, what's the metric? You're spending so much money on influencers. What's the metric that you're tracking and using it to justify that spend internally?
So for every marketing channel that we activate, there is only one single metric, which is the amount of sales, and also one step before that, the number of leads. So the number of leads tell you the overall quantum of response that you're getting, whether the scale is what you expected or not. That could be different for different brands depending on which stage of evolution they're at as a business. And secondly, what is the quality of those responses or leads that you got, which is measured by the conversion rates, etc. So we actually measure both. And we do the exact same thing for television advertising or CTV advertising or any other medium for that matter. So I think influencer maybe 4 or 5 years ago was a niche channel, but for a lot of brands, including us, it has become a very, very meaningful part of the business now. So it needs to be measured the exact same way as maybe a Google search is or a television is.
Excellent. Nidhi, I'm going to come back to you now. We've talked about the metrics, right, and what is measured. I'm going to ask you whether you ever pulled the plug on a collab. Is what didn't work?
Actually, no. I feel that as brands, we need to tell a story, okay? And unlike earlier, when there were just very limited ways, to tell our story, we need storytellers. Content creators are the ones who can help us create that brand story. So you have to make sure that there is a cohesiveness of what is it that you want. And then, if it's cohesive, it will eventually lead to sales and it will eventually lead to business. So our ROI is usually on the content quality. Yeah. Okay, it's like, and that's the first question we ask. Is it looking genuine? Does it look like he or she is speaking authentically, and it's not a brand speak, and it's not a brand plug ki, "Arey paise de diye hain, so this person is talking." So for us, that is, the most important thing. That is it coming across as something believable, and is our story, and if it's believable, people will buy into it, and when people will buy into it, they will eventually come and they will try your brand. So that's how we look at it.
Good planning actually helps not pull the plug. Yeah. So we've also talked about the fact that there are so many influencers in the market today, right? So which is also leading to some amount of fatigue. Fatigue maybe among consumers, fatigue among brands, right? So Shantanu, we have the same faces showing up in multiple campaigns, right? I think just before this panel, we were talking about the fact that, one influencer is talking about one brand today and a competing brand tomorrow. So in that, how do you avoid fatigue but still manage to drive consistency for a brand like Noise?
Interesting. So I'll try to take an example of not an influencers but more from a celebrity point of view, if that's okay. Like, I can talk about one example which we did really well was when Neeraj was with us. So he was actually training himself. He never used to live in India, and then he used to train outside only. You majorly Finland or somewhere else. And I honestly don't want to do that similar kind of a banner पे एक नीरज चोपड़ा का cut out लगा हुआ है और वो हाँ तो वो that was not going with us at all, And then we thought, how about we build an entire story around it. And that story, because their followers will always follow that story. Because the followers love him. And if I can integrate my product into his life, that will genuinely stand out for me also. We created the entire series in a way that he's been training and he's been showcasing. So I will never ask him to tag me also many of the times. But he will try to show the stats of his training on the watch, and he'll just take a shot of that watch. That kind of says, I've been using this product, right? It creates a lot of authenticity by default. Similarly, and you need to be maintaining some relationship with the endorsers also. And that kind of things works in your favor. For instance, we just launched Birds with collaboration with Bose, called Master Birds, and Tapsi has been endorsing our smartwatches. Okay. Now, but we send it her. In a way, she loves our product. She posted about it. Wow, I'm loving it. No, nothing ASCII is required out of it, right? And similarly, she's been using my product in a way that she's been wearing the watch everywhere. And then how you are utilizing that content further is your game. So I think that balance need to be created, then there will not be any fatigue. If they keep on coming with all the hooks, okay, that is required. That is a hygiene these days, that hook is required. But how do you create a credibility that you need to select? Okay, this is the influencer which I wanted to associate with. This is the influencer I wanted to create a long-term stuff. So I'll keep on engaging with them in the form of a more organic story, more like I'm living in the life of that influencer, celebrity, or anyone. Then automatically, this can be solved. So that's how we solved, and it kind of works for us.
Yeah, that's lovely. So I'm going to stick with the long-term influencer partnerships that Shantanu spoke of and ask Nidhi, have you tried any long-term partnerships where the influencer almost became like a brand ambassador, right? Any lessons or any wins that you can share with the audience?
So at Uniqlo, we do a lot of engagement with what we call as brand friends. So we have a whole lot of community friends, brand friends, who we have worked with over the last 5-6 years. And we constantly are engaging with them on a regular basis. So if we have a new collection or if we have a new style, we usually end up going back to these people because they are not only, so they are already recognized within their fan base as people who vouch and swear for Uniqlo. And hence, when they are talking about a new product that we have launched, or they're talking about a new collection they have launched, it is kind of like an information that they are sharing, which also makes it for even their audience to be interested. So that's what, and we always do that, and we're always looking for. So the way we do actually is, there's a lot of organic content that's being created about Uniqlo. So we will go and find out who is creating the content organically. We will engage with them, and then we will, sort of start doing like a regular engagement with them. And I'll tell you something very interesting that we just found out recently. A lot of image consultants were talking about Uniqlo. A lot of image consultants were talking about how you can wear Uniqlo, how it can be a capsule wardrobe for you. And to be honest, this was not the kind of influencers we were looking at. We were looking at fashion influencers, lifestyle, fitness, and we saw that their engagement was out of the roof. And we started then engaging with them. We called them to our store. We had a styling session with them. We asked their fans to come to the store. So we said that you can get a free styling session. So then that engagement became even more, it became so seamless and it became so authentic. So, and now we are doing with them on like season to season basis. So it's kind of like discovery and then engagement, which is what we look at.
Yeah, that's fabulous. There's so much stuff. So I follow some personal stylists, etc. So they're in Uniqlo all the time, right? Looking at clothes and creating these wardrobes. So Lakhan, back to you. Do influencers also feel fatigue? So what makes you say no or brand collabs nahi karne hain mujhe, I'm done?
No, I don't think
You're getting money.
He told me it's money.
Never say no for such things.
There's never a limitation to this. Like I can do Uniqlo 60 times a week. Yeah.
So no fatigue, you don't feel ki, okay, not this brand, not that brand. Are you choosy?
Yes, I'm very much choosy. I was a whistleblower.
Whistleblower?
Yeah, not for a brand, but it was some kind of a scam where there was a oil being sold, and all those celebs were visiting that place and promoting that oil. But later I found like they reached, and I just asked for the yeah, I asked for the formula, and then I got to know they were mixing minoxidil in it, and it could lead to long-term effects. Like people can be addictive. If they stop using that product, then they will face the other side of the product. Then like I made a video, and it went horribly viral.
I don't
Yes,
think horribly
because
viral.
I received so many threats after that. Yes, I was asked to put it down. I was offered money. I was offered everything. Like yeah, but I decided to make another video, and then tell people what they are. Yeah. So I even got to know that there was some kind of raid that happened after that video. Yeah, because that video was a rage on Twitter, and that's where things went wrong for those. So like after such incidents, and I have been very spoken about some other things also, not just like that oil. So after that few incidents, like people know if I feel something, I'll say. I cannot be the kind of influencer who is promoting Pepsi today and who will be promoting Coke today, tomorrow. Okay, so I want to be comfortable. I want to work with a brand with a vision of a long-term partnership. Also, I want to be a consumer first of the brand and then be a face of it.
I think we are hearing that a lot, right? About the creators themselves being consumers and how authentic that makes the collaboration. So I'm going to move to, I think we've got about 8.5 minutes or so left on the panel. I'm going to move to one topic that I think everybody's talking about everywhere, AI, right? How can you do a panel discussion today without touching on AI? So I'm going to talk a little bit, or ask the panelists rather, to talk a little bit about the role of AI in influencer marketing. Yeah. So Samir, I'm going to ask you whether, for a category like Policybazaar, have you used any AI in influencer marketing?
So we've used AI in other areas of business, including other areas of marketing as well. Yet to explore that in influencer marketing. But I'm pretty sure like there are these AI news anchors these days, so there'll be AI.
Yeah.
I mean, there are already AI influencers, but they're not huge and they're not as relatable to people as real human beings are. But maybe at some point they would be. And then collaborating with an AI influencer would be just like collaborating with a human being.
Absolutely. And, on that, just before the panel, Pratik was talking to all of us, and he wowed us with some fabulous work his company is doing in the AI space. They actually have a AI influencer, for example. Pratik, do you want to maybe
Yes, I think Pratik would be the right
talk
person.
to us a little bit about how you are using AI in the...
Lakhan, we are not threatening influencers for their job. Ultimately, an AI influencer account would be run by a human. So it's going to be basically the idea. Like, so Lakhan gave us great insights about YouTube while we were sitting there. We will have to understand those insights. We will have to understand how Instagram works. So we understand it from a perspective of an agency. We understand it from a perspective of a brand. We have to understand it from a perspective of an influencer. Like you asked him, is he ever going to get tired of brands? I don't think so. Influencers get tired of brands as such, but they do get tired of being typecast. They do get tired of creating the same kind of content again and again, because after all, we all are humans. We do get tired of our jobs. Same cheez repeat kar rahe, kuch naya karne ki koshish karte hain. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So AI influencers, somewhere I do agree with Samir that they're going to be into the picture, but you can never take away the human aspect of it. Also, as a country, we would know that it is AI. Like Indians, I think, would not react as kindly as probably some other countries would. ये तो real नहीं है. ये जो बोल रहा है वो गलत है, because he's not saying it. Somebody behind him is saying it. So then if we make a video with an AI influencer exposing an oil company, people will probably use it more. No, but I'm just genuinely saying it. So there are going to be challenges, and we know that those challenges are going to come up. The idea behind starting an AI influencer primarily is because it will work for those brands the brands which want very specific things which influencers wouldn't want to do. It would work for those brands. And we believe in the long term, and there is always a demand. Like you would get Lakhan. Lakhan also acts with his, he also creates content with his wife. Now, if a brand and says one day he comes up with this particular statement that I'm not going to create content without her, and if tomorrow a brand wants to approach him and say you create content individually on your cricket, he said I'm injured and I cannot create content on cricket. Now, brands want that, irrespective of whether it is right or wrong. There is a space for that kind of content also to go online. So yeah.
Sorry, no, please.
So that's what I meant, that there will be a space for that, but the human aspect will continue to remain where it is. And I think as Indians, we are too emotional about things. If we see an influencer crying or even a celeb crying sometimes, we feel too bad about it. We as a country are too much into hero worship. So I think somewhere to be able to hero worship an AI is going to take probably donkey's years.
Correct.
So I agree with Pratik that at present there is a human behind the AI because it's not completely an AI, it's an avatar. AI basically means that there is a model that you write and the model over a period of time learns. And then slowly and gradually starts doing things themselves. And they will have their own brain and they will have their own creativity. So we don't know when AI is fully evolved in influencer marketing, what shape those influencers are going to take. Whether they choose a category, whether they choose certain topics, how they do it, we don't know yet. So I think currently, I won't necessarily say it's AI influencers, they're just avatars.
Yeah, actually that's a good distinction, and otherwise it's like almost like we're living in Black Mirror, for those of you who've seen it.
He mentioned that the evolving AI, I think that's still quite far. That's not happening so soon because of problems with the way the videos are created, what kind of environment. If today we ask them to take a brand like Noise and we say do something creative, they would probably take Noise to some other solar system. Not keeping it here. I'm just genuinely saying, as he's mentioned, they have the brain of their own. So I think that is a little further away. I think maybe a decade, but I think the immediate one is the AI avatars.
So Shantanu, Noise for me is a very Gen Z brand, right? I mean, I know you all do a lot of other stuff, but that's how I perceive it. So keeping that in mind, have you experimented with AI to get better ROI on influencer campaigns, or any other experiments with AI you may have done?
So honestly, yes, we are inside also. We are creating, empowering internally how much we can release the creative bandwidth and can be used in some other places. There are some things which can be done by AI very easily. So for instance, there are a couple of social media post which requires a creative bandwidth, which we try to make it fast through an AI. So now I've empowered my copywriters in a way कि now they themselves generate a lot of stuff. See, I'm literally very poor apart from then they say मैंने इसके ऊपर ये layer डाल दी, उसके ऊपर ये layer डाल दी, मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा है, तो बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है. Let's do it. So and I try to give them that freedom as much as that's been one of the areas that how much automations which we can build inside. We have a very lean team. We don't have big teams across. And the best part is also that everything is in-house for us. Whereas I'll just add on to his point, it's the ways you can use the AI. In today's time, not everyone can afford an influencers, to be honest, right? To start off, there are AI videos you can generate, at least to start off a lot of areas where you just require the message to be delivered. and you can use it in your performance ads, or you can use it everywhere, right? So somebody need to understand how to use and where to use what. It's more like an electricity. It will float. It might get into everything in future. Influencers themselves use a lot of AI. I mean, we've worked with Varun Maya for one of our project. So we introduced a smartwatch. There was a noise AI into it. So basically you can generate a watch face of whatever you're imagining, and you just give a prompt and then it generates a watch face for you. That's one of the most used case in today's time, that everyone wants to have that on the watch. And we use it, Varun Maya, for it, but we genuinely have to ask him, please do not use an AI avatar for telling this. I want genuinely you. And a lot of comments, oh Varun, you're getting into fitness now. People were commenting because they could see the real Varun Maya after a long time. So what I'm trying to say, there are creators who are using it well. I think Sharon also use it, and then there are a few finance creators, infotainment. So I think it depends upon what kind of work it can solve for you. Please use it. There's nothing wrong about it. It's gonna make you much more productive, I feel, and that's what we are seeing it inside also. Things are becoming productive. Yes, it is little complex yet. It is not solved, like not everything can be done by an AI. But yes, once we start doing it, it will eventually shape up well.
Great, and I think on that note, time's up, as we can read there. Hopefully, you all have taken away some good insights, AI as an enabler, playbooks around how to choose influencers, how do you keep the collaboration authentic, and of course, learned from the other side of the table through Lakhan's insights. Thank you so much. Thank you, panelists.